Hey, podcaster, welcome back. If you didn't listen to last week about the C from CPR, yes, because we are giving our businesses and our podcasts a little CPR because it's time to resuscitate the things that brought us to this platform anyways. Well, today we are digging in to the P in CPR. We're identifying people, passion, purpose, because when we align with these, we become unstoppable. This is how we connect our passion to our purpose and align it with our audience's needs. This is something that so many podcasters miss, which I think is why many podcasts pod fade away. But you're not going to do that. You're joining the elite club. You're not part of the 85% club that stops podcasting. You're going to stick around at the 15%, the elites, and we're going to grow your show and we are going to make the impact that you desire. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to Beyond the Downloads. I'm Jen, your podcast bestie, here to tell you there's so much more about podcasting than just those numbers. So before you throw in the towel, you better listen up. We're diving deep into the heart of what makes podcasting truly special, from storytelling to connection, and yes, even healing. Think of me as your podcast life raft, ready to help you navigate those choppy waters of this podcasting world and the podcast overwhelm. From understanding the therapeutic power of sharing your voice to the practical tips to grow your show without losing your ever-loving mind. If you're ready to ditch the hustle and create content that leaves a legacy, a tsunami impact, no more ripples. Whether you're launching your first show or looking to take your podcast to the next level, I'm here to help you grow, launch, and yes, make some money from your passion. Let's make your podcasting dreams your reality. It's time to go beyond the downloads, where your story becomes a legacy. Hey, we are giving our podcast and business a little CPR because it's time to resuscitate and breathe life back into our podcast and our business. Well, we're digging deep into the P in the CPR framework. So if you haven't listened to episode last week where we went over the C for clarity, this is how this clarity is now going to build on one another. So I suggest you go back and do the C before you do the P. However, you can do them in any order and still be successful. Just make sure you do all three, because these are the three core foundations that so many podcasts are missing and why many people just give up and don't feel that the juice is worth the squeeze. So I want you to start thinking about your passions, your purpose, and why you're here. We got clear last week on your story, your journey, how it all aligns. And this week, we're really going to dig into that passion and that inner fire so that we can align that inner fire, that passion and your purpose with who you're meant to serve, your people. So why this matters is that if you have the clarity on who you are, but you don't understand your audience and you haven't aligned that with your purpose and your passion, you're going to fizzle out. It's just not going to work. You're going to fizzle out and dun, 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 lead to pod fade, which is that 85% club that I know none of you are joining, which is why you're here. So for me, this is why you see this show go through so many rebrands. This is why when I talk about stories of seeing my clients go from doing some sort of an MLM to actually building a business, it's a 501c, which is a nonprofit that actually stands for a cause, and seeing those shifts, this is why it is so important. Maybe you don't know all of these right now. I suggest you keep showing up because podcasting is so forgiving and it's a great place to find that passion and that purpose. And you'll start seeing when things align. So we got to start with finding your people, your audience, your ideal listener, that I call my person Sally of your world. So who are your people? I want you to define your person. And here's the kicker. Most of the time, it was a past version of yourself. So go back to the clarity piece of your journey and start really looking at what point could you have used somebody in your journey to push you along faster? How can you help somebody skip those steps? I want you to really think about this when you start creating content. Like, what do you wish that you had heard? What do you wish that you had seen? For me, I mean, I started this journey. When did I quit my job? 2017. I quit accounting. Yes, if you didn't know, I came from accounting. And to make it even worse, I came from government accounting. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, I was in the wine industry before that, but I ended in government accounting. Yikes. Which was really hard for a creative. Although I'm intellectual, there was definitely a misalignment there. So knowing who I was speaking to is so important. Knowing your journey. I was so misaligned and miserable that the content that I was seeking was any way out of that 9 to 5 struggle. And that was who started resonating with me. And I found my very first business coach to help me out of the industry. And granted, I started as a health coach, but she helped me out. I got my business rolling. And then as I grew, I got to know more and more and more and more about who I wanted to serve. I moved from health and wellness to integrative nutrition and yoga coaching into chronic pain and chronic illness. And then realizing that I was helping people with chronic pain and chronic illness really find a way to manage a business during flares. So I became and moved into more business coaching and energy management and healing for people with chronic illnesses who had businesses. Then it turned into podcasters. So see how I'm talking about sometimes you have to figure out your journey to know your people. Now I know that I'm working with people who do struggle with energy management, who are podcasters, who have a business and a big impact, but they only have minimal time, minimal energy. And hello to my fellow spoonies out there, because it seems like I'm still collecting spoonies. I love you. I am one of you, and I get it. So I really want you to start thinking about that person, because here's a lot of things that I think get misaligned when we're talking about finding our people and aligning our podcasts. The biggest one is like, how much time do you have? If this show was an hour long, I wouldn't have any listeners. You'd listen for like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and then you'd be gone because you don't have time. You don't have energy because you are struggling to manage the energy, manage your business, move forward. You're a healer. You're already fighting with all these other things for energy management. You don't have time to sit there and listen to step by step by step by step. So what I want you to do when you're starting to discover your people is I want you to start thinking about your person. Name that person. What does your ideal listener look like? Their demographics. I personally think that this is kind of important, but I think that you don't need to go super deep. For me, the demographics is I know that you're a woman. I know that you're a business owner. I know that you're struggling to manage all the time. You're throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like you are currently working. Most of you are probably already have a podcast. You're already making some money, but you haven't reached that money that's like comfortable level money yet. You're living probably in a home. You may or may not be married. You may or may not have kids, but like start thinking about these things. And then I want you to start thinking about the pain points, the challenges, and the desires. I just told you some, right? You want to grow your audience. You want to spend less time. You want to spend more time having fun. You want to make a bigger impact in the world. You don't want to be a slave to social media. You feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're spread so thin and you just can't do it anymore. Like these are some of the pain points that come up. You feel like no one's going to listen. You feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you're why me? Do any of these start striking a chord? I want you to think about these. What are their pain points? What are their desires? What are their challenges? What keeps them up at night? For me, there's so many things that keep me up at night. I just went through a divorce and thank goodness it's final, but now it's living as a single income. Like there was nothing. I walked away because I cut the line. I drew the line in the sand and now I'm a single income. So income keeps me up at night. But because I am a soul-led, I don't want to call myself quote unquote a healer, but I'm more of that heart-centered person. I want to serve. And I really struggle with being paid to be served, which a lot of us do. Great. Here's another pain point that you're probably struggling with. And as I grow and continue to add more and more and more and more to my repertoire, my prices go up because I continue to tell my nervous system it's safe to charge more because again, I'm not charging crazy amounts of money, but we do need to align with those too and our listeners' needs. I know where my listener lies. I know that you are somebody who has a budget to afford some things. You don't have a budget to pay me 10 grand a month. I get that. But you have a budget for a certain amount that you know that investing in yourself will help you move forward. Great. So I know that what's keeping you up at night is you're not progressing further enough. Maybe you're hustling too hard. Maybe you're working 60 to 80-hour weeks and you want to work 40-hour weeks and make the same amount of money. Maybe it's a money, maybe it's an impact, maybe it's you feeling misaligned. Really important to know. And also, where do they hang out? Social media, forums, podcasts. They better be hanging out on podcasts because you're listening to podcasts and you're wanting to be a podcaster, but where do they really hang out? I was throwing spaghetti at so many walls to being on Instagram and TikTok and trying to be on LinkedIn and all these other things. And right now in this phase of my business, podcasting, YouTube, and Facebook are my number one connectors, I'm going to say. That's where they're hanging out. I was wasting my time on the other. So as soon as I stole back all that time, even though it seems like, oh, you're repurposing to these other platforms, it still takes time and energy because you have to tweak to make it work on every platform. Where are they actually hanging out? Where are you actually having connections with people? Because even if you have a podcast, if you have some sort of social media that's already working for you, let's try to get those people off of your social media and get them into your circle that includes your specific person where you can connect with them. Because here's the thing, social media, people are just scrolling by. They're not spending a lot of time with you. We want them to spend that time with you, to fall in love with you and become those super plans. So your action step is to create this one page, who's your Sally? Who's your Sally? Of that ideal listener, their demographics, pain points, goals, and where they're hanging out. Then I want you to start thinking, okay, I know how to serve them. I know what they're struggling with. What is my actual passion here? Because this is another piece that I struggle with, and I know many people struggle with, is this passion piece. Because here's the thing, is sometimes we're really stinking good at something and we can make a buttload of money doing that thing, but it kills us inside. Accounting. I love production, but I love the coaching aspect more. So my passion is more with the coaching, which I get to do with my production clients, but I would really love to do more coaching and have a production team, which shout out to my first contracted employee. Woo, woo. So excited. We're growing over here. But really, what is your passion? Is there a passion that drives your business? You started a business, you left the working for somebody else hustle for some reason. What is that passion? I want to make a huge difference. I want to create a tsunami of self-love. That's still my core message. How am I doing that? Teaching people to story tell, to build businesses, to use podcasts to create a bigger impact. That's all spreading self-love because I work mostly with heart-centered people who are trying to make a difference to improve someone's life. When you improve your life internally, guess what happens? Externally, that starts to ripple out. That ripple with all the other people, we become a huge tsunami. We wipe out all the crap and then we bring it all back in and we rebuild to something beautiful. So when you start asking yourself some questions like, what topics or issues make you feel energized that you want to talk about? And sometimes this can be scary. I have a podcast where I talk about politics. It doesn't have my name on it. I changed my name, but it helps me work things out because sometimes talking to yourself when you're recording, putting it out in public, it just makes you seem more validated. But maybe you have some topics that you just love. Again, like the person who started with MLM and became a 501c for a cause that they truly believed in. They were so behind that and they were able to build this business because they figured out where their customer and their topic and their core passion aligned. And we figured out how to make that a 501c, and there's some other things coming in, and she still has her MLM and she's tied it in a beautiful way. But what is it that makes you feel energized? And what are you excited to talk about? Talk about storytelling and podcasting and the impact of podcasting on my life over and over and over again, and how it can change people's life and how your story is someone's life raft. I mean, that's why I wrote the book. What conversations could you spend hours and hours and hours having with somebody without getting bored? And is there something that people naturally come to you to get advice on? I mean, I get business people coming up to me asking for business advice all the time. And randomly, I get a lot of people with health questions too, whether that's in the grocery store or exercising. I know way too much about strangers that I don't even know their names. But what do people naturally come up to you and talk to you about? What about your friends? What about your clients? If they get stuck, what are people coming to you for? Now, here's the kicker. Now you have your person and your passion. Now you got to figure out where that purpose lies, because this is one of the things, again, we can get caught in and like, oh, I'm really good at this. I can make a lot of money in this. And we go back to that whole, like, we're stuck in this endless circle of, we have to make money. We have to make money. It's what scares us. It's blah, 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 blah. So the purpose is your bridge point. The purpose is that point where the passion and your people meet, where you can start building a solid foundation for your podcast and your business. So while passion is what excites you and lights you on fire and keeps you going, your purpose is how to use that passion to serve others. Boom, mic drop. So the purpose is about the impact you want to have on your audience, on your listener, on your clients, on your whatever it is you are here to do with your podcast, with your business, with sharing your message with the world. So again, your passion is what lights your booty on fire, and your purpose is how to use that passion to serve others. Ooh, juicy, right? So when you start inserting your passion into your purpose, that's where that excitement comes in. That's where you find that topic that your ideal listener needs, and that thing that you can line up to help your listener go from listener. And once they come into your community, whether that's as a customer or a client or whatever you call your next level, but we start adding them into that podcast sales funnel, right? So we have the podcast into your first step. Maybe you do a freebie. Maybe you do a low ticket offer. Maybe it's a high ticket offer. Maybe these are all things that are all DIY. Maybe you're somebody who helps people find clothing. Maybe you're somebody who sells a physical product, whatever it is that's in there. But your podcast and that connection and that once you build to there, it leads into something. So again, we're finding what excites us and we're lining it with how we're serving others. So when you have this piece where you figure out what the needs of your ideal listener are, then you have that gold piece. And not only that, but once you figure out your ideal listener, you know how long episodes should be, you know the topics they're going to be interested in, you know they're going to want quick hits. I mean, hey, this episode I'm giving you, like, here's the questions to ask yourself and here's your exercise. I'm lining these up so that you can take immediate action. So, like, how does your passion serve? That passion, that thing that lights you up, where is that bridge? For me, storytelling and sharing my story and showing up, how that serves is I'm giving others the space to find that thing. I also have this beautiful thing that I do in my hot seat coachings every week inside my membership group, where we have a hot seat and somebody comes to me with multi passions. Maybe they have 4 different businesses going. I have this unique way of looking at it, finding the overlaying thing, and then aligning all those things into one passion and purpose so that we can, like, build a whole funnel, including, like, the business, the monetization, the podcast, the content, the attraction. We build it all in there because as a multi-passionate myself, I know sometimes it can get crazy. So what positive change do you want to create in your person's life, in that person? If they could make one small step forward, what's that positive change? And what transformation do you facilitate that you're in your audience life, in their business, in their finances, in their health, in their wealth, whatever it is? Like, what is that transformation you want to help them on, that you want to walk by their side on? So here's your exercise for aligning your passion with your purpose. Again, your passion is exciting you, lighting your booty on fire, and your purpose is how you're going to serve. So I want you to help listeners identify where their passions intersect with your needs. Again, where is your audience? This is, again, you want you to start thinking about this. As your listener, where do their passions intersect with their needs? Maybe their passion right now is to get healthy, and you're somebody who helps somebody through perimenopause, and you have this great program that has what you should be eating, what supplements you should be taking, how you should be moving your body in different cycles, tracking your cycles, what to know, what not to know. Great. So where their passion is feeling so flippin' good that they can keep showing up to their life. Where that intersects is with your purpose for that specific thing would be your purpose is to help them feel good, because their passion is to feel good and live well and have the energy to go live their lives and do all the things they want to do, but they're not able to do that right now. So their passion intersects with your purpose. So your exercise is, I want you to write down a statement that combines your passion and your purpose. I know you've heard this a million times, and I hate saying the word I help, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's written down on my computer because I need to remind myself every day. I help blank by blank so they can do what? What's their desired outcome? I walk with my clients side by side to help them discover to help them tease out their story that can serve their audience so that they can show up in a way that attracts their ideal listener, builds their business so that they can have that time and financial freedom where they can truly serve others and live the life that they desire. So I want you to create that, that statement. And again, I hate the word help. So help me find a other word than help. And then what I want you to start thinking about is I want you to really pay attention to this episode. There's 3 clear action steps I've given you. I want you to think about your people and get clear on who that ideal listener is, who they are, what they need, and how you can help. I want you to start thinking about your passion, that thing that lights you the flop up and drives you to keep showing up and wanting to work and wanting to make a difference in the world. And then I want you to find that purpose where that passion aligns with your audience needs to create a meaningful impact with your content, with your podcast, with your courses, with your offers, with your products, whatever it is you do. So here's my challenge to you if you choose to accept. I want you to figure out who that ideal Sally is. Mine's a Sally. Who's your person in the people section? I want you to write down 3 specific ways your passion can help your audience meet their needs. And then I want you to share 1 action you're going to take with your purpose on your next podcast episode. Boom. Yes, I just told you what your next episode's going to be. I know you were over there struggling to figure out what you're going to talk about next week because you're burnt out. I want you to take those 3 things that you can help from your passion that became your purpose. And I want you to talk about how those 3 things can help your audience. So you're going to talk about the struggle, how you can help. The more you can storytell, the better it's going to be. Again, for me, I started this podcast. It was a health podcast. I shared about the struggles of being overweight as a health coach. I shared about the struggles from other people. And then I was able to show people that you could inspire, that it was okay to be any size, moving into health at every size. And then what happened is I was able to align and bring people into my space that made them feel welcome. And I knew that I could still support them in feeling better in whatever size body they had. So I want you to share 1 action that your passion and your purpose, if your ideal audience aligns with it, that you can actually help them move through the situation. Find a great story. Maybe it's time to share your journey from the clarity piece of how you can help people skip ahead. And then that is your next episode. So how excited are you? Pretty easy, right? We're going through the P's. You got the clarity last week. We've hit the P's, your people, your purpose, and your passion. And next week, we are going to talk about the R in CPR. We're going to revive We're going to revive our revenue. We're going to rejoice. And then we're going to rinse and repeat. Ooh, yep. We're going to focus a little bit more on monetizing your passion, creating offers that feel aligned, and how to blend that into your podcast. So are you excited? Are you ready? I know I am. I'm so honored that you are here, and I hope you've gotten a little bit more clarity on the P's, and we're almost there. We've almost given our businesses enough CPR to revive that passion so that we can bring back the revenue, so that we can make the impact that we desire, because you are worth it. You are enough. Your voice matters. Your story matters. So go out, make today amazing, and I will see you next week.